Alright guys, I'm just going to run you through a couple of the constructions to make sure that you can investigate the properties correctly. So the first one just is a basic square. This one's super basic. You're just going to choose to construct a regular polygon, and you notice at the bottom it just says select 2 points and enter the number of vertices, so we're just going to plot 2 points, right? And we're going to make that sure that it has 4 vertices. And if we take a look at this thing now, right, I'm just going to arrow down. It should be the case that this has 4 congruent sides and 4 congruent angles. That you can investigate for yourself to be true. And then since you guys are going to investigate properties of the diagonals, just make sure that you construct your diagonals and then see what happens. What do these diagonals do to each other? How do they relate to one another? What do they do to the angles? To construct a rectangle, which would be the next one, we're going to need 2 sets of parallel lines. So we're going to kind of start like we were working on a parallelogram. We're just going to have one segment there, and then we're going to need to create a line that is parallel to that segment. But to do that, we're first going to need to create some point that's not on that segment. Okay. Now when we go back to construct a parallel line, you see that it asks us to select the point and the parallel line. So that's the point, and it goes through that parallel, right? It's parallel to that line. Okay, so now we've got this line parallel to this. Well, now if we want a rectangle, right, we want to make sure that all 4 angles are 90 degrees, meaning that the intersecting lines are perpendicular. So we're going to need to construct a perpendicular line, right? It says select the point and the perpendicular line. So we want it to be perpendicular to this line through that point. And we're going to do the same thing again. Perpendicular to this line through that point. Okay, fantastic. And now let's just build this out. So I'm just going to plot 2 more points at the intersection of this line and that line. So that's one there. And at the intersection of this line and this line. Okay. So I've got my 4 vertex points. And now I'm just going to connect segments between these to make sure that I have the rectangle that I want. And you guys can, again, measure the segments and measure the angles to confirm that the properties of a rectangle hold. Then I'm going to ask you guys to create your diagonals and investigate the properties similar to what you did for a square, but for a rectangle. Remember, they both should have the properties of all parallelograms regarding the diagonals, but they may have properties that are slightly different. You guys are going to do the same thing for a trapezoid, which I think we may have already done, and you can just investigate that very similar to the way that we've done this here. To create a rhombus, I guess to create a rhombus, easiest thing to do is to start by plotting a segment of given length. So we'll do that, segment with given length, and we'll just say it's here, and we'll say that it's length 3. Okay, so there's that. Now what we want is we want all the possibilities for a segment that has that center and a radius of 3. So basically this is saying this is the set of all the points that are 3 units away from point K. Well, that's fantastic, right? Because we know that a rhombus, all the sides are going to be congruent. Okay? All right. And we're going to do that again for all the points that are 3 units away from that. Okay? So if we decide then to select the intersection point, alright, so intersection of these 2, okay, alright, notice there are 2 points, so it could be 2 of them. This is both, if we create a segment from here to here, alright, this is going to be 3 units if you measure it, because it's on one of these circles. Alright, so now this are 2 of our two of our sides, right? And we need one that is parallel to this that goes through this point. So let's do a parallel line, right? It's going to be parallel to this through this. And now you're going to see, okay, you see our rhombus shaping up. This side measures 3 units, center to the actual circle arc, 3 units. 3 units from here to here. You'll need to basically just plot the intersection point between this arc and this line for our third point, and then the fourth point is just going to be there. So you can construct your rhombus, and then construct the diagonals, and investigate properties from there. Okay.